Hi, everybody. I hope you're all well. Instead of you see me on a Sunday, you'll see me on a Monday this week. And the main reason is because it's a bank holiday weekend here in the UK. So I'm not working today. And because I got distracted by various things in the week and the nature of the book, which I'm here to review, it took me quite a lot longer to get through it than I anticipated. So I didn't finish it until I don't know, about 8 o'clock last night. So I was like, you know what, it's the bank holiday weekend, just sleep on it. Then tomorrow morning, get up and get ready. That's why my hair is wet because I've just washed it, but I can't be bothered to blow dry it. And film my review of it. So here I am. It is so foggy today. It is like we haven't had fog for quite a while, and it's just sitting there. It's not burning away. It's this thick fog. It's very, very jarring to think it's May and it's so foggy outside. So there we go. So hopefully that will burn away later this morning, and we can get some nice sunny weather like we've had over the bank holiday weekend. I know, a shocker, bank holiday weekend, and it's been nice dry weather. What in the hell is going on? But yeah, it's been a bit of a funny week. I've just been working as normally, but in literature and entertainment field, we lost two men in this past week that I just have actually kind of shook me. The first one, we lost CJ Sansom a week ago, and then yesterday was the news that Bernard Hill had died, and it's just like, oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, obviously Bernard Hill, with especially Lord of the Rings, it's very close to my heart. He's just absolutely sensational in that, as he is in all the other various films, TV dramas, theatre, all that jazz that he's done throughout his career. And he was meant to be at Liverpool Comic Con. Well, not Comic Con, but you know what I mean. I don't think it's under the official Comic Con, but it's a convention thing in Liverpool on Saturday, which he pulled out very last minute, and he died in the early hours of Sunday. So yeah, very, very sad to have lost Bernard. And the news of CJ Sansom dying was just, that was a real shocker. But bless him, he was always a very private man, and we, in fans of his books, knew that he'd been ill for some time, but I don't think anyone was prepared to hear the news that he had passed. So rest in peace, both CJ and Bernard. So that's, yes. So let's talk about the book I have been reading this week. And I can't believe I'm going to say it. This is my 300th book review since starting this channel. That's crazy, but here we are. And we're going to talk about The Ice Cream Girls by Dorothy Koomson. Now, bit of history about my interaction with this story. So in case you haven't seen any of my videos previously, or dotted in and out and may not know this, I watched Line of Duty, I think about a year and a half ago now, for the first time. Absolutely fell in love with it, and I started watching various things that Martin Compston had been in, because I'd seen other things that he'd been in, but I was like, oh god, I remember him in Monica the Glen, because I used to love Monica the Glen. So I watched all the Monica the Glen, and then I started watching films scattered here and there through his career, and then other dramas, and then I just realized, oh my god, I'm basically binge watching his career. And one of them was The Ice Cream Girls, which it was on ITVX app, but only the premium one, where you have to pay, I think, about £55 a year. Then it went to BritBox for a while, and now it's back on ITVX. So I don't know if periodically it just does that, or if it is available on both at the same time. Like right now, you can watch them. I have no idea. So if you want to watch this drama, you might want to look at BritBox, but also look at ITVX. So just so you're aware. So I watched that drama of this book that he was in. He played Marcus, and I found it really interesting. And then I found myself watching it a couple more times, and I was like, what is it about this story that's capturing me? So I decided to get the book, and I finally got around to reading the book. Now, before I started reading this book, I thought I'd read a little bit of the author's comments, because this is the 2019 edition where some questions have been put on the back to the author, Dorothy, to answer. And I'm not going to read it out because obviously spoilers, but she basically said the question is about the other version of the Ice Cream Girls. And it's about a page and a half, and she talks about the research that she went into, the fact that she didn't want to conform to stereotypes. She wanted to tell the truth about how people can get manipulated and caught under a spell, which holds them for a significant long time. That was really, really important to her. And basically, she says that the TV version basically took the outline of her story and filled it full of stereotypes. And even though she praises the actors for what they did, and it was a, well done drama, it was not my story, is what she basically says. And the fact that on the very first page of the description about Dorothy, it actually states, in 2013, a TV adaptation loosely based on the Ice Cream Girls was shown on ITV1. So right there, she's making it clear it's only loosely based on my book. It's not the actual book. So reading that before I went into the read, I was like, okay, let's read it and find out what's going on. The story of the Ice Cream Girls is that there were two girls, Serena and Poppy, who in 1986, they both start seeing the same person, the same man, Marcus. And in 1988, so 2 years later, a murder happens, and both Serena and Poppy are caught up in it. Serena cooperated, or did the best that she could to talk about everything that happened with the police, and Poppy was seen to not cooperate with them. Serena was found not guilty and free. Poppy was found guilty and sent to prison for 20 years. Fast forward 20 years, Poppy has been let out of prison. She has tracked down Serena, and she is determined to find out what really happened that night, because Serena believes that Poppy did it, and Poppy believes that Serena did it. But who actually did it? And that is the basic outline of the Ice Cream Girls. The Ice Cream Girls was a name that they were dubbed by the press, given a certain photo that circulated of the two of them with ice creams on the beach. So just so you're aware, that's why they're called the Ice Cream Girls. So going into this, I obviously loosely knew the outline because of the drama, and I say loosely because when I started reading it, I was like, okay, Dorothy was not kidding when she said this is loosely based on my book. I found the written story so much more powerful than the drama, so much more. And I will say, I'm not going to give spoilers here, but the fact that the drama even changed what is the last chapter of this book. This last chapter of this book is so powerful. And then the writers for the drama just went, no, we're going to change that. And it just completely destroys what Dorothy was trying to convey with this book. I cannot believe that they decided to go against this fantastically constructive narrative. But then you have to remember also that some adaptations of books are they some of them, it's just a case of, okay, we'll use the characters' names and the title, but we're going to throw away the entire book and write our own thing. They didn't exactly do that, but they did a lot of things that just completely garbled the narrative, and therefore it just wasn't like this book whatsoever. Now, I will say Dorothy did so well in her research of this book, for this book, should I say, not of this book, for this book, There is a lot of stuff in this that people, I think, will find difficult to read. One, because it's so realistic. Two, because it is so raw and in your face. And three, it comes completely out of the blue. You are constantly on kind of like tender hooks that you don't know. In a split second, everything can change. So you feel that fear that Serena and Poppy went through, and understand the psychological knock-on effect of what they went through. So I really want to praise Dorothy to the hilt for that research, but I do want to make people aware, if they do watch this video, they haven't read this book and they're thinking about reading it, that there is stuff in here that can be very, very difficult to read and possibly triggering for abuse on multiple different levels. And some of those levels happening at the same time. So I just wanted to throw that out there. The actual story itself, when I started going into this, I felt it was kind of slow, and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, it's written from the perspectives of Serena and Poppy throughout, and you're going back and forth between the two, and then the final chapter is someone else, and that's just amazing. So yeah, as I was going into this, I found it quite slow and I couldn't quite understand the pace of it. But then I realized that Dorothy's done something so smart in that people who may have had something traumatizing happen in their past, and obviously for the context of this book, as I mentioned, there is multiple levels of abuse, but I'm talking about trauma in general of multiple things. Sometimes the need to hide from it, to run away from it, is the most powerful thing. And sometimes you can do things which you don't understand are related to that trauma. So to give an example relating to this book, Serena has this really odd anxiety that someone is going to come into the house at night, and every single night she collects all the knives in the house and she hides them so well to the degree that next morning she cannot remember where she hid them. So they're constantly looking for knives in the house. It's this bizarre thing, but she can't understand why she's doing it, but she needs to do it in order to feel secure because of what happened to her. And you see that kind of, it takes a long time to progress, but the more you see of things, the more you understand the big picture. And the same with Poppy and her getting out of prison. And she talks about how for 20 years, my life has had a schedule. I have had regimented things drilled in me that happen every day at certain times and such, and now I'm being let out and there isn't one, and that is fucking terrifying. And what she does in order to try and give herself a stability. So Serena has the stability of her husband, her kids, her home and such, but she's frantically trying to keep people out. And Poppy, who has been trapped in, is now out, and she's just trying to process everything. It's a really interesting balance between the two, and you realize, even though you have got this slow pace, that what Dorothy is trying to convey is psychological impacts can hit people in different ways, but also the nature of learning, the nature of accepting, the nature, I think, of being brave enough to confront and go to those dark places, because some people just can't do it. And at all. And that doesn't mean that they're not brave at all. It's just simply that there are certain boundaries that people have that they can't go there. And Serena and Poppy have managed throughout the course of this book, because they have to confront what happened, because Poppy is tracking down Serena and wants to know the truth of everything that happened. That confrontation is going to happen, and it's a slow burn, but it's a necessary burn. Throughout each of the chapters, there are flashbacks. Now, one thing about the flashbacks that kind of irked me a bit, when you get them mid-chapter, or sometimes it's a whole chapter. If it's a whole chapter, it's fine. But when it's mid-chapter, you'll get a date to indicate, okay, this is June 1987 or something, and then it'll jump to 86, and then it'll jump to 88, that kind of thing, flipping back. I had no problem with that, but what kind of irked me was that you'd have the date, and you'd have a paragraph from the past, then you'd have a paragraph from the present, then you'd have a paragraph from the past, but it didn't indicate where you were. Apart from that very first paragraph, it didn't indicate which time span you were in, so you kind of had to go a little, oh, okay, now we're with Serena at the present, not the past, or Poppy in the present, not the past. So yeah, there was a little bit of that, but once I got used to Dorothy's writing, I could see what she was doing, which totally makes sense, because if you are thinking, like you, whoever is watching this video, suddenly has a memory of something that happened in your childhood, you have the memory, and then you have the thought processes, and as you are now in present day, going, oh my god, why did I overreact to that, or oh, that was so funny, or that was a really sad day, and then you might go back into the memory again. So it totally mirrors the reality of remembering back at things. That yeah, it was a little, I was a bit, oh, okay, so we're jumping back and forth between past and presents, but we're not actually indicating except to the first paragraph, so like, right. But that was the only negative thing I could think of for structure, for characterization, for the actual story itself. There wasn't a bad element to this, but I will say there was one character who really pissed me off, and that was Serena's husband, Evan, near the end of the book, and the way that he reacts to certain revelations. I'm not going to say what they are, because obviously spoilers, but I was just a bit like, I could sort of understand that he was in the right for responding the way he did, but also he's in the wrong for saying what he said and reacting that way. But you could also say that Serena was in the right for keeping stuff away from him, but also because it's her narrative. She needs to deal with her trauma. She needs to be in control of saying what happened, but also she's wrong because she shouldn't have kept that from her husband. It was this weird thing of, I don't know who's wrong or right in this situation. And then thinking about it in the wider picture, it's like, well, given her past and with Poppy and everything, who's in the wrong and the right about that as well? So Dorothy is constantly questioning what is wrong and what is right throughout this book, and especially even stuff with Serena's sisters, or Poppy's mum and dad and her brother and sister. I just, all of these things of who is wrong, who is right, and the grey area in between were constantly being confronted to you. And I found that so interesting. So overall, I just found myself completely taken in by this. I kept on putting this book down and needing breaks, because, as I said, the depictions of things were quite strong and tough to watch. I was okay with that, so I needed a break, so I took breaks. But I kept on thinking about it, and I kept on wondering about, what if it's not clean cut? What if it isn't right or wrong? What if it's both? and I love it when a book, a story, a story in whatever form, whether it's TV, whether it's film, whether it's radio, whatever, presents that question: what's right, what's wrong, but what if both are right? I love that. So, and I keep thinking about it. So the fact that this book kept me on my toes, kept me engaged. Yes, it was a hard one to read, but I kept going. It kept me asking questions. I really like the story structure. I learned some things about people who suffered trauma and the breaking of stereotypes and such. I thought it was well constructed. Apart from it being a bit slow and as I said, the flashback going back and forth between paragraphs, but not actually really indicating it in some chapters, I loved it. Those are the only two things that I can think of as negative, but the slow burn was needed, and the flashback structuring totally made sense to real life. It's that thing of, is that wrong? Is that a negative for the book? Is that a positive for the book? Or is it both? Dorothy, what are you doing to my brain? It was just so interesting. And I think the fact that the drama, let's talk about properly the drama. The drama changed the ending. The drama followed stereotypes. The drama is so timid compared to the book. Marcus is basically an excitable puppy in the drama compared to the book. Let me put it that way. So if you watch the drama first, know that for when you go into this book. I felt like there were certain relationships that were just wrong. There's some really messed up stuff that they did with that book. But as a drama in itself, because I saw the drama first before I read the book, it's not that bad at all. It's a decent drama. So I would say if you want to watch the drama, then watch it. But know that the book is a lot more horrific, a lot darker, a lot harder to process. But I will say the drama, the actress who plays Adult Poppy, oh my God, I adored her. I absolutely adored. She nailed that role. She just shone compared to everyone else. Everyone else was good, just to clarify, but she oh my God, she was incredible. So yeah, I very much, I don't have the cast list, unfortunately. I don't have her name, but I will put it in the description. But yeah, she was brilliant. I absolutely loved her. So yeah, I would say give the drama a go, but the book is one that asks so many questions about right and wrong, and I just loved it. I loved it. So there we go. There's my thoughts on The Ice Cream Girls by Dorothy Koomson. So time for my usual questions. Would I read this again? Definitely. Yes, I would. I really would. I think I would have to, because of the darkness, the bleakness of it. I think I would have to read it. This might sound a bit weird, more summertime. I'm kind of like my sister, where in the summer I might enjoy thrillers more. I don't know what it is, but especially because this is set in Brighton and seaside, that kind of thing. It just feels summery, even though it's an extremely dark story. So I think I might go back to this over the summer months and in my own time and reread. Would I recommend this to anyone? Yes, I definitely would, but make them aware that there's some really dark stuff that happens to this. It might be triggering, but I think it's an important one to read about breaking stereotypes of those who suffer abuse. Would I read any more Dorothy Koomson books? I think I definitely would. Yeah, I'm intrigued to know what other books she has written, and I think she'd be an interesting author to explore. So if you have read any of her other books, please let me know if there's any that you would really recommend. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on The Ice Cream Girls by Dorothy Koomson. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comments box below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely together at your side. And I'll be back with my thoughts on my next read, which is a revisit of Kate Morton's The Clockmaker's Daughter. I had tried to read this late last year, but I just couldn't find myself getting past about the 40-page mark. But there was a lot going on with work and such at that time, so I thought I'd do the fair thing and put it in my jars to be picked up this year, and now it has, so I can properly focus on The Clockmaker's Daughter, and I will let you know what I think of that as soon as I'm done. All right then, everyone, bye.